Hi guys, good afternoon. Yeah, I said good afternoon because it's about 3:30 in the afternoon here. Welcome to another episode of Clangin and Bangin with Mikey, episode 84. I was thinking about something earlier this week. A lot of times, man. Well, first off, episode 84 was I call it the Randy Moss episode, man, because greatest wide receiver I've ever seen play, hands down. And I've seen Jerry Rice play. I've seen Terrell Owens play, but Randy Moss, hands down, best receiver. But today, what we going to talk, excuse me, I'm a little under the weather too. But today, we're going to talk about, sometimes, man, in certain situations, you got to know when to leave, man. You got to know when to understand that your exit stage left, has to be taken. And not necessarily mean that the other person around you is bad for you or whatever it is, because he or she may not be, but for you they are. And there's no point in keeping that door open. You know, I once told somebody I cared about deeply. I told her like, yo, the door is closing on you, and while it's never going to be locked, it is going to be closed. And I remember she had asked me like, "Oh, well, like what if I knock on the door?" And I go, "Well, it's probably not gonna be answered." Um, and she was like, "Wow." But there was a whole bunch of issues and everything that happened between us, and it's like at a certain point you got to look at the situation and be like, "Yeah, like I got love for you, but I can't do this, man." And my thing is like, this particular individual, I watched her give somebody else everything that I wanted. And I'm not talking sexually or anything like that, but it's like what I mean by that is by basically giving time. And when I seen all that, and there's other things that happen in between, in between the situations where I just kind of looked at it like, okay, cool. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But you're not, immune to your, the consequences of your actions. And the consequences of your actions was me walking away from the situation. Because long story short, um, I fell in love with somebody who couldn't love me back. And the greatest pivot I had to do so far in my life was to make the conscious decision that person I wanted that person to be around forever. And I knew that she wasn't. I knew that she wasn't going to be around in the category or the capacity that I wanted her to be in. And the capacity that she wanted me to be in, I couldn't do that. And for me, it's like I had to really sit down myself and I had to really think about what I wanted and and everything of that nature. What I wanted was her. Um, not only on a friendship level, but on an exclusive level as well. And when all that happened between us, I'm like, yo, it's cool, it's whatever, because at the end of the day, I don't hold grudges, man. I just look at the situation, and I got to understand that, yeah, does it suck 100% that she's not available, or that she, that the old, we would always say that, that we want the old versions of us back, but in reality, I didn't want that, man. That old version of us was, we were too, and I don't want to use the word kids, but we were two young individuals who didn't really know what they wanted, and shit kind of happened between us. And when it happened, we're like, oh, okay, like how do we deal with this, and that's the one thing that Pivot talked about, man. Well, I watched them, well, not the most recent episode, but the one they had on with Phil Heath. And it's true, man. Bodybuilding, whether you're amateur, professional, whatever it is, it saves lives, bro. Um, Bodybuilding can save your life in more than one way. And in that podcast episode where he talked about, laying down in the middle of the street 3 times and not having a single car come hit him because he wanted to, get over this shit because he was so depressed because, you know, his dreams of being a professional basketball player weren't gonna be it. It wasn't it. And I'm not saying I had the same experience that he did because I didn't. But bodybuilding, man, it makes you it physically and mentally breaks you down. And when that happens, a new version of you comes up, and something that the other people don't expect you to be or whatever it is, and it's imperative that you realize that you know that even though things don't work out your way or they don't, you know, they don't turn out the way you wanted to turn out. At the end of the day, gotta be thankful for the pivots, man. Because the pivots teach you a lot about yourself, man. It's like, okay, like this didn't work out, but what can we do to get better? What can we do to get better for the next situation or next individual? And when he's even talked about his ex-wife, and how he said he wasn't faithful, this and this and that, and not and again, my situation with my best friend wasn't even like that. We were never together, even though we could have probably made it work. It just never happened. And when he said, well, it's like, when he said, yeah, you know what, just after 8 years of having 8 years of being separated, we finally, been able to get on the phone and actually talk, you know, and it made me think about my situation with her, and I think the longest time frame I ever went from, without talking to her was 2 months, and I don't know, man, it's like it's almost like I text too much is an issue. I don't text enough is an issue. And I've been trying to find that medium and I can't find it. And the only thing left for me to do is like, yo, if I can't talk to you, if we can't have conversations and we can't figure this shit out, then what are we doing? And I think at the end of the day, man, uh, the pivot does a great job of just having thoughtful conversations and keeping shit light and keeping shit funny, and because at the end of the day, mental health, man, it's big. It's something that we should definitely take stock in, and and definitely understand it better, and definitely realize that it's okay to speak out if you're going through hard times or whatever it is, man. Because at the end of the day, it just we matter. Um, Suicide is never never an option. And if you're going through something, man, please reach out to your friends. Reach out to professionals for help. Reach out to family members. Because at the end of the day, we're all needed. We're all wanted, man. So with that being said, I gotta thank the people for doing what they do, because I don't know, it makes it okay for men who view themselves as alpha males or very masculine men, to be vulnerable. And when you got the 7-time Mr. Olympia saying that he tried to take himself out 3 times, and 3 times, like nothing happened. What's that tell you, man? It tells you that God got you here for a bigger purpose, man, or the universe got you here for a bigger purpose, and it's up to you to realize what the excuse me, what that purpose is. You know, once you realize what that purpose is, you'll be good to go. So at the end of the day, man, like I said before, regardless of the situations you in, you know, especially my situation, the issues with her, man, is like she doesn't like confrontation, and she doesn't like pressure, and her best friend is that. I'm the dude that's gonna, you know, make you take self accountability for your actions. I'm the dude that's gonna be like, okay, you said this, but in reality, you're actually doing this, you know, so you're doing the opposite of what you're saying. And so at the end of the day, reach out, you know, reach out and boss life, man. You know, reach out and be the greatest version of yourself that you can be, because that's what we need, man. Like, we need to become the best versions of ourselves, and that work does not stop, you know, or the work doesn't stop. It's an everyday struggle, and like I said, I'm here if people want to reach out to me, you know. Yeah. Anyway, man, I hope y'all keeping in the 4Ps. Private player, positive pushing. See y'all next week. Love y'all. And like I always say, know your worth. Goes.